All right, we are back. Okay, so right now we're going to talk about some key points. We'll probably end up reading a poem, and then I pretty much let you go free and have at it and get it done. All right, so today we're going to talk about student objectives. Students will know the way a poem is written helps readers understand how to read it. Students will understand how the structure of poems and the crossover contribute to the developing conflict between Josh and JB. Students will be able to rewrite Dear Jordan in a different poetic form. All right, so moving on to the next one. I wasn't able to actually put the picture up here, but I'm going to be able to put the picture over here so you'll see it. But I just put the link right now. So what you do is you click the link, and as you see, the picture comes up. And once the picture comes up, we're gonna break it down even further. Let's see. All right, there we go. So let me slide myself out the way. All right, so these are all different forms of poetry. Now we talked about this before, but let's go ahead and talk about it again. And you can actually save this picture if you want in your journal for notes. Also, the PowerPoint will be given at the end of all the day's work. It's always given. So all you have to really do is just copy the PowerPoint and save it and put it in your folder, and then therefore you'll have notes. Just that simple. Excuse me. Elements of poetry. Rhyme these are elements of poetry. So we're gonna start off with rhyme. And rhyme are words that end with the same sound. Pen, ten, right? Ben, fin, things of that nature, right? Because that's rhyming. Then you have rhythm, the musical quality or beat. We all like a good beat, right? One little duck went swimming one day over the hill and far away. See how that goes? And that Curtis Blow. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's old school. All right, repetition. To repeat sounds, words, or phrases. Bumblebee is small. Bumblebee is kind. Bumblebee is brave. And loves purple flowers. Bumblebee is my favorite. The main word they used over and over and over was bumblebee. Right? Moving on to the next one. Imagery. Now, imagery comes up with your senses. It's a vivid description using your senses. Dinner smelled good like grandma's lasagna. I heard the music pounding through the walls. The corn tasted like it was just picked from the field today. The mountains looked like hills in the distance. Cat's tongue was like sandpaper to my cheek. Okay, so with these phrases, you can vividly picture these things being like that. That's why it's imagery. Imagery has something to do with your five senses. What is another word, class, that we've been using this entire section talking about senses? Yes, sensory language, right? Sensory language, five senses, mood, motion, all that good stuff. There we go. We starting to get it. And we have simile poems, right? Compared to things like or as. Okay. He was as slow as a snail, right? Now we know this because when we see words like or as, those are key definite identifiers for a simile, correct? Yes, it is. All right. And metaphor. Compared two different things. The garden was a rainbow of colors. The flowers were candy to my eyes. Now remember, metaphors are written to create colorful language and is not written to be literal. Remember that, right? The garden was a rainbow of colors. Yeah, it's possible, maybe. Flowers were candy to my eyes. Flowers can't be candy, people. They just can't be candy. You might think it was candy till you eat the flower and you're gonna realize it wasn't candy. All right, moving on. So, simile, like or as, we understand that. Metaphor, colorful language, usually not literal. If you take a metaphor and you think it is literal, you're gonna have problems. One of my favorite metaphor is being up a creek without a paddle, right? Being up a creek without a paddle. I'm not going down a creek and I'm not without a paddle. I might be talking about something else. I might be talking about the fact that I'm having an issue and I don't really know what to do with it. So I'm up a creek without a paddle. See how that correlates with each other? But I'm not in a creek and I don't have, and it's not a paddle. I'm not in a paddle boat. But when we talking about being up a creek without a paddle, means obviously I done got myself into a situation and I don't have no way of getting myself out. I don't have the proper tools to get myself out. I'm just using colorful language. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, moving on. The next one, alliteration, repeating beginning sounds for friends, found, free, food. What is the repeating sound, class? Exactly, is a F, right? So if you see constant things and it's constantly repeating itself, maybe using a letter, a word, if it's using a word, it is a what? Repetition. But if it's using a letter, it can be alliteration. And you want to pay attention to the beginning sounds. Okay. Onomatopoeia sounds like a noise or an action. Chirp, chirp, cheep, went the birds. I guess this is basically talking about some senses where you're actually beginning to make the poem sound like what I guess a cartoon strip would be, because birds go chirp chirp and cheep and all these different things. So it is pretty much it's talking about noises or actions. Okay, so there's a lot of action going on in the crossover. He does a lot of action. He does this crossover move. He goes boom, bam, jump. He goes all that. So that's probably a part of that, which is autonomous. I don't know. All right. So next one is personification. Makes a non-human thing seem human. The cat and the dog read their book quietly. Can cats and dog read books? Absolutely not. But if you use personification, you can make things as in flowers or I don't know, books, TV, electronics, anything, shoes, anything. If you can make it a non-living human thing and make it and compare it to something that is human that is living, you are on the right track. You are using personification. Now we talked about these 9 different poems, right? Well, there's another poem that's also there, so we're going to increase your knowledge here, and we're going to go here. All right. So there is another type of poem. It's called a found poem. A found poem is one of those that is created using words, phrases, or quotations that have been selected and rearranged from another text. Writing poems is a structured way to have students review material and synthesize their learning. Uh-oh, there's that word again, synthesize. We know synthesize is in cramming it all together and becoming one, right? All this different information and you squash it together and it becomes one. Synthesization, right? Synthesize, same thing. Synthesization, action word. Synthesize, hey, this is what it is. This is the base word. All right. With that being said, we're going to read a poem. Of course we are, right? We never read a poem. But this particular poem you can find on page. Right. Let me open up my book here. Do, do, do. All right. What am I looking for? Article on Daily One. 1 second, let me go to my table of contents. Article of Daily One is what we're going to be looking for. And I'm going to tell you the page number so you can find it in our little online book that we've been giving out so graciously. Oh, excuse me. Okay, Article Daily One is on page 155. All right, so I'm going to read it, then I'm going to ask you what you notice about it. And we've already talked about found materials, and I'm going to try to see if you can brainstorm some things about it, and you can put that in your ELA journal. All right, so Reggie Lewis, Wildcat article, Article 1 in the Daily News, December 14th. The Reggie Lewis Wildcats capped off their remarkable season with a fiery win against Olive Branch Junior High, playing with suspended phenom, playing without suspended phenom Josh Bell didn't seem to faze Coach Hawkins' undefeated Cats. After a brief melee caused by a hard foul, Josh's twin, Jordan, led the team like GW crossing the Delaware to victory and their second straight playoff appearance. With a first round bye, they begin their quest for the county trophy next week against the Independence Red Rockets, the defending champions, while playing without Josh Filthy McNasty Bell. The Daily News's most valuable player. All right. So, what we got out of that situation in this poem is what do we get out of this? Okay. All right. Well, we learned Josh didn't play. Josh didn't play, and they're undefeated, right? And who led the team? Jordan, right? Says it right here. Jordan led the team. Then it also even gave you some colorful language and said GW. Who's GW? You don't have a clue, do you? Right? Give you a hint. He's the first president in our nation's country. He is the first president, number one. You might even find him on the, I don't know, dollar bill. It is George Washington, people, and he crossed over the Delaware River to victory, right? So, because we won our independence from, who we won our independence from, people? Let me see if you know the history. Ah, yes. We won our independence from the British. You are correct. All right. So, we're looking at this, and we also see that that was an issue. My people that play sports, when another team is beating you, there's a tendency to get mad. And when you get mad, you might do some unsportsmanlike conduct. That's what happened on this. How do we know this? Because it states that after a brief melee caused by a hard foul. Well, I know what melee means, so that's how I can tell you that. But we can go ahead and we can use the words around it. It says after a brief, right? And then caused by a hard foul. Now you got to just use common sense. If you've seen basketball before, you know usually when there's a hard foul, there is a disruption, so to speak, in the court of play, right? The court of play is going to stop, and there's going to be some arguing, or especially if you watch the NBA, you always see arguing. So there's some kind of hard foul, some kind of disagreement. Then you will see teams basically argue and bicker on the court, and it's up to the referee to break it up. That's basically what just happened. And Jordan, Josh's brother, the twin brother, went to the line and made the free throws and sealed off the victory. That's what we got out of reading Article 1 in the Daily News. And we also found out that Josh Filthy McNasty Bell is the MVP. He's just suspended. Why is he suspended? I don't know. They didn't say why he was suspended. But I'm pretty sure, because this is how I'm going to relate that back to what we got going on right now for my athletes is here. If you do not pass, you do not play. Okay? Because that's usually the first way of how you get suspended. The second way of how you get suspended is because you can't keep your act together and you want to be a class clown and get in trouble and do all these other things. You will get suspended from that game, or you might get suspended for the season. It just depends on the severity of your deal. This goes for my football players, my basketball players, my volleyball players, don't want to exclude you, my track players, cross country, whatever other sports you want to play. If you don't know how to control yourself, they will remove you off the team. Okay? So, your assignment today is to read Dear Jordan. Now, what you're going to do when you read Dear Jordan, you're going to go in and you're going to look at these facts. Matter of fact, we'll read Dear Jordan together. Let's read it together. Because Dear Jordan is a found poem, right? So it must mean that he's taken a lot of different poems and pieced them all together and gave you a story. Okay. So based on how it's written is exactly how it's read. Now, that other one, just to clarify, that first one, Article 1, Daily 1, that is on page 155. And Dear Jordan, I believe, is on page 159. All right, so I'm gonna read this real quick, and I'm not gonna take up a lot of your time. I'm just gonna tell you, once you pay attention to the form, you can rearrange these words. You can make this poem anything you want to make. And I'm gonna have an assignment for you to probably do that. So we'll see how it works. All right, so we're gonna read it. Dear Jordan, without you, I am empty. The goal with no net. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna read it straight down. I'm gonna read it straight down, then I'm gonna read it sideways. Because remember, Dear Jordan is a found poem. So a found poem has no form. It's just a bunch of different words all put around. People, listen to the video and watch these videos. I know they're long-winded sometimes, but you got to get it. Because if you don't get it, then you're just gonna be out and you're gonna be lost. I don't want you to be lost. All right, here we go. Dear Jordan, without you, the goal seems broken, like puzzle pieces. I can no longer fit. Help me heal. Slash with me like two stars, like two brothers together. I am empty with no net. My life was shattered on the court. Can you run with me like we used to? Stealing sun, burning it up. All right, so I can read it this way. Dear Jordan, without you, I am empty. The goal with no net seems my life was broken, shattered, like puzzle pieces on the court. I can no longer fit. Can you? Help me heal. Run with me. Slash with me like we used to. Like the two stars, stealing sun. Like two brothers, burning up together. All right, so what I'm going to do is your assignment is already listed. Take care of it. Do it in your ELA journal. If you don't have your ELA journal, what else are you supposed to use? That's right. Use Google Docs. That's all we got for today, really. Um, you can take your test if you want to take your test. You got till Thursday to take your test if you choose to grab your feet on it. But we got to get it done, people. We got to get it done. We got a lot to do, but we got to get it done. All right, that's all I got to say. I'm out. Peace. No, it's too